you, Miguel, for organizing, and thank you for the opportunity to present. I'm going to introduce, as Miguel was saying, I'm representing the University of Murcia, and currently I'm working in the United States. And I want to talk one of the research group that this is the Human and Movement and Sport Science, and from then I'm going to present them. First, I want to introduce where is our university. It's in the south east of Spain, and specifically in a campus that this is San Javier, and it is really close to the Mediterranean Sea. So we can see we have really nice beaches, and the place is in the Faculty of Sport Science, and then we have in the campus of San Javier. The principal research of the group is Enrique Ortega, and have a lot of energy, a lot of capacity to work and move this group. There are a lot of research that we are collaborating. Most of them are for the University of Murcia, and we have some of the that they are working, specifically Gemma Torres Luque, that this is focusing sport racket that they are going to do, that she's working in the University of Jaén, and myself that they are working. Specifically, when I talk about myself, I'm in 1 hour, a little less than an hour and off of Chicago in the United States, and Gemma is working around in Jaén, that this is really close to Murcia, and is around 1 hour from Murcia. And from then we are collaborating with this group that Professor Enrique Ortega is moving. If we are going to go and talking about what is the goal of a research group, and from then to understand how we move our research lines, and then from then future possible collaboration. One of the goals is going to increase our knowledge about sport performance, and we want to do it from multidimensional. So the introduction of technical, tactical component here, and physical and psychological, and they are really important. And we're trying to integrate different elements at all levels. So this is one of the elements. So when we see KPI, we don't see from one just perspective, outcome, technical. We go for physical, physiological, psychological. So this is one of the dimensions that we work. Another aspect that we are trying to work, and most of the reason behind that is that most of us have been previously coaches, and then we move to the research, is that we want to develop different evidence-based option that help initiation and athletes and start to have a approach that this is more embedded, not in subjective opinion, based in opinion that this is based on research. So combine these two, we move a lot to transfer information to coaches, to move them to useful knowledge that they can use. And the final goal then for us is reduce the gap between science and society. In our case, societies or coaches or PE teachers. Now, one of the initiatives for this is like behind the group, and the Professor Enrique Ortega is moving even a journal in order to try and jump. Is behind that is one example of idea when we're trying to reduce this gap. The final goal is being useful.
Complex.
Okay. Be useful for sport research, be useful for another professional, be useful for our society. This is one of the goals that we want to implement. Related to the research line that we have focused in sport performance, we have 3 major lines that are going to be the sport analytics. Then we move from then a little to sport goal settings. And right now we are already focused in sport rules manipulation. And we are going to tell, because this is a journey. Still we are doing things in sport analytics, and we continue to do it. Still we are working in goal setting. But most of the area that we are moving right now is in the sport rules. And I will explain for that. But this has been a journey in the last 20 years that we have been working. So the first research line is sport analytics, and we are focusing KPI, key performance indicators, and normative profiles, and then we work for that. We want to increase the knowledge in order to provide information about what is the most important thing, and that affect principally team sports, and how affect player development. And this is one of the areas that we are focusing: player development and how is the evolution, and normative profile help us how we help to provide information from the beginning to the end. If we review, there is a large amount of information related to peak performance, but not in the developmental area. And so we want to study these characteristics and how the athletes will. And we have done studies in basketball, soccer, volleyball, rugby in different age groups and different sex. I put the example, the study that you have here in front is done in volleyball, in specifically male volleyball. We have this do the same in beach volleyball. We have done in female. We are working in football, but this is our example. And what we see is how the athletes evolve from the under 14 until going to the Olympic Games. And so we follow and analyze different groups in the different one, specifically national championship in Spain. So we went to the national championship U14, U16, U19. We went to the professional competition in Spain, and then we go to national champion. And this provides us information how the normative profile needs to be changing, how the KIP, how one win team and how the things are changing in order to provide a whole perspective about the long-term athletic development related to jumps, related to movement, related to technical action. Something similar you can see here. This is not published still, but the thing that we did is we are following the evolution of the soccer. In this case, the data is from male, and what we have here is how in the last 15 years in under 17, under 20 in senior, in world championships in male soccer, how the occasions, efficacy, fouls committed change, and how the sport changing, how we are have to consider different how the sport evolve and how they are different between age groups, and they are focused in this evolution and provide what are the key KPI, but for a larger perspective, and also what is the development of this. These are two examples of the sport of the study that we have done in the past. If we move to the second slide, that this is connected with the previous one that we are talking, because we use that information and right now we need to apply. And if we provide them the coach, they need to know what to do. And one of the research we can do with this research, with this normative profile, with this KPI, is establish goal to put in training, to put in competition, and then help them to achieve the level that they want with the athletes. And again, we have worked in different sports: soccer, basketball, volleyball, and rugby. And then we are going to do, and then we want to implement how we can do that, because there is a lot of theory, but there is no a lot of integration. Goals have been really broad, and then we want to be really specific and useful and individualized. So we have been working to develop these protocols and implement and see the intervention that work, the specific intervention that work. In the example that we have here, for example, is we did something collaborating in volleyball, and we have been collaborating in rugby, specifically with the national team and professional teams, providing posters to guide, involving them, and collaborating using the different technology, preparing the World Cup, for example, with the female rugby player team that they are going to do. If we go for a specific example, we can go here. We have a developmental team, and then we work with them in order to help them to learn, to understand what is the difference between their own perception and the objective values that the analysis and the scouting providing the analysis again. And then we set what are the goals that they are going to achieve at defensive level and offensive level, and then provide one that then some assistant coach provide information that they can be reviewing and how they can integrate that information on practice. So we are doing the thing that we were doing before, but we are using the normal team profile that we are getting for each age group, for each team, and we are trying to apply and help them. And one of the problems that we are finding here, and I don't want to go a lot on the result, is like coaches and athletes have a completely different perspective because they have subjective. No one saw them, no one teach them how to have objective information. And when we get the information of the video, we need to help them to be little by little learn. So this graph that I put it here in the right of the screen is how different are there for what really happened, what is the errors, their efficacy, and at the beginning players trying to do that they are much better than they are doing. But these two lines connect, and I want to insist here with this line that we have been collaborating with different institutions in Spain, with different clubs and different sports. And we have generated another area that, beside the collaboration that we have done, is that we have developed observational instrument protocols. I put here one example that we collaborate with the Olympic volleyball, beach volleyball national team in Beijing, and then we developed this tool. But we have developed also instrument in soccer and in rugby in order to work. And then from there, we move to the final line that we have been working. This is a sport rules manipulation. And we want to increase about how we can manipulate the task constraints in a sport in order to help in the development of the athletes, and how we can help coaches to achieve the goals that we have. In order to do that, we are working manipulating at different levels. So we are using Neville constraints as a reference, and specifically in the Neville constraint, we are manipulating the task constraints related to that. And when we go to analyze the effect of this manipulation, the individual variable that we have in our studies, we want to go for a multi-dimensional perspective. So we are introducing, as mentioned before, psychological aspect at the cognitive and affective. We are introducing psychomotor aspect, and also we are introducing physical and biological aspect related to a part. Consider different domains that are going to be. If we go for understanding why we want to modify the rules, is because we can help, and we have experience doing in physical education and sport training, but we feel that these changes are really specific to the coach and the physical teacher that we are working. Unless that we go a bigger spread, that this is a bigger perspective, that there are the sport rules, we don't think that we are not going to be able to affect really and impact the sport. So if we are trying to modify the competition rules in order that, because we think that these are the foundation that will use other coaches and other PE teachers in order to achieve the goal that we want. And we want to invest here time in when we consider the mini sport, so adaptation of the sport, because the athlete with 10 years old doesn't have the same characteristics that the adults. So we need to adapt the rules in order to help the athletes little by little to achieve this development in the moment that we want, in order to achieve their good development and good experience in order to go related to that part. When we go, I want to insist with the idea of how we develop our research. We are doing the first stage that we have here is review the current evidence base, and we review what are the current research and the current methodologies in the physical education and training. In order to do that, I think that we do that. This is a typical review of the literature. But in our second phase, that I think that this is unique to a group, or I have not seen so often, is like we go to analyze what are the current research situation in JAV. What is the sport regulation? We review all the regulation that have in Spain and different countries. And also we go and are really strong getting information and about the different stakeholder perspective. We ask referees, we ask parents, we ask coaches, we ask athletes about what is their experience playing that sport in this age group in order to find what are the problems. Because these provide us the research that we have, their experience of the people that they are every single day in the court playing, and the different one. And we also analyze what are the current sport material that they are going to do. And with that information, the current research evidence and the information about the people that this is doing, practicing the sport, we will move them for step 3, and then we move to the analyze the different and propose different option. And in this proposal that we go for the rules modification, we involve sport experts, coaches, referees, and then professor in university, and also the professional and the different. And then with that is when we develop our experimental research tournaments. I want to insist here with, for example, with this analysis, we found that the basketball coaches have problem with the material, so we moved to generate patents. And the same happened when we went to tennis, and how we can help and develop material that can be useful for coaches. That came from coaches to go for coaches, and there's the element, the goal that we have here. If we are put a sample here, I have a sample in under 10 tennis sport. We manipulate the task, and then we create an adaptation, and then we always work with a tournament that play with the current sport. This is when we consider our control group playing the normal regulation that they are playing right now, and from them we do adaptation. We manipulate in this example the net and the core dimension in order to work with the different one and goal that we want. From there, we try to, as I mentioned, measure as much as we can, and we go in this tournament. So we go for technical and tactical variables. most of them with using video analysis, kinematics and kinetics variables using video analysis and accelerometers. And then we go for physiological aspect, normally for a hormonal level to the saliva, outcome variables to the video analysis, physical variables, heart rate, RPE, and physical capacities if they are tired, how is the implication of this exercise, psychological variables, self-efficacy, satisfaction, and then coaches, athletes, and parents per section. We also want to interview them and get the survey in order to have a more holistic approach with the different elements. So we're trying to get all the domains that we can in order to have a holistic approach of the different variables. So with this, we have a lot of more experience because we have been working in a lot of this support. I hope that you have a large idea what we are doing and what is the goal. We trying to be useful. We are trying to get a research that is not going to be in the paper. We have that problem 10, 15 years ago. And right now we are trying to get that impact. And this is the group that we're in. We are in the University of Murcia. We are open to collaborate. We are more than welcome to collaborate. You can contact with Quique Enrique Ortega without any problem. And here is the presentation of our line that we go for sport analytics, goal setting, and sport manipulation.